Hello everybody, my name is Memo. This is my channel FancyMemo. Welcome back to my channel, and today we've got a very special video because today I do have a guest. He's been on the channel before and he goes by Hoops. He is one half of our basketball podcast, which is called Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. We make weekly episodes, so check it out if you haven't. But we've got Hoops online. How you doing?
What's going on, man? First off, great to be back on the channel. It's been a minute, but last time I was on, we had a pretty good banger and a good time. So happy to be back for sure for another fun one. Overall, I would say I've been doing pretty good, just getting through life, honestly, and same old routine. How you been, man?
I've been good, just prepping for our All-Star podcast, which you won't be in for this week, but I'm in charge of that one. I'm taking notes of what's been going on this All-Star weekend, so I've been watching that. And yeah, but nothing crazy, nothing different really. So I'm glad that you're back on the channel. We had a great video. I uploaded last year where you had to guess songs, but if you want to check that video out, I definitely recommend it. It's a good one. Today, we are doing something different. We are actually doing a tier list together. Obviously, we're both sports fans. I'm more of just basketball, strictly NBA, but you are more of a football fan. You like other sports, including the NFL. What's your NFL team? What's your favorite football team?
I rep just the hometown LA Chargers simply due to the fact that when I first started watching football, there was no official LA team, and at that time, San Diego was the closest. So I polled for the more local team. Yeah, that's pretty much how I chose my fandom.
Okay, that's cool. So he's clearly more of the football fan, and as you guys all know, I am a huge music fan. Hoops is as well, but I don't think you'll consider yourself as big of a nerd as I am. We're kind of colliding forces here, and we're actually gonna rank the last 10 NFL Super Bowl halftime shows, starting with the Kendrick, ending with the Coldplay. I think this is not only gonna be a fun video to make for this year, but hopefully we can come back next year, add to the list, and do like another 10 halftime shows, just like a sequel to this video. But yeah, I did my homework. I watched a few of these halftime shows. I feel like I'm ready. Are you ready, Hoops? Are you ready to get into this and talk about some Kendrick, some Weeknd, some Shakira?
I think I am ready for this one. Should be fun.
All right, let's go. So we're going to start backwards. We're going to start at 2025 with Kendrick Lamar, who just performed last week, and I thought it was pretty good. I wouldn't say this is the greatest halftime show of all time, even though Kendrick Lamar, I think now is my favorite artist of all time, but still, I do really love the show, especially watching it another time. I really enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of symbolism and great messaging that you can pull from this show, like how Samuel L. Jackson played Uncle Sam, and he started off with him ranting towards Kendrick about how this was gonna be all ghetto and stuff, and that kind of predicted what ended up happening. There's a lot of conservatives and white people out there that are very angry that Kendrick Lamar went out there and performed a few songs. So it's kind of crazy how like Kendrick knew what the discussion was going to be before it actually happened. But yeah, there's a lot of great messaging. You could tie in Uncle Sam with other things that I won't get into. I think the coolest part of symbolism I saw was the American flag made by the dancers. The dancers wore red, white, and blue, and they were divided, kind of like how the country is at the moment. But other than that, there's a lot of other great things about the Super Bowl halftime show this year. So what are some of your favorite moments from Kendrick's performance?
I would definitely say I really liked the symbolism that he portrayed throughout. As you mentioned, like obviously Samuel L. Jackson playing as Uncle Sam, literally. I mean, his name is Samuel, so that was like really good and fitting. And then a lot of cool other Easter eggs or snippets you want to talk about in the halftime show also. I thought that there were some pretty cool and funny moments too, like for example, bringing out Serena Williams, aka Drake's ex,
Oh my
for
god,
They Not Like Us.
that was awesome.
Was really cool for sure. Yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, like, as you mentioned, not the greatest halftime show ever, but it was still really good. And obviously, there's a lot of people out there that like want to say otherwise. I feel like they say that like every year. There's always like some sort of complaint. No one ever really thinks to be satisfied. The reality is they only have like 15 minutes to perform their show. It's not like they're doing a full-on concert. So like what even are you really trying to expect? I thought that it was still obviously not the greatest of all time, but it was still really good. Yeah, overall, I wouldn't say there was like anything out of the norm that I would have expected more than what happened. Overall, I definitely did like the show, and yeah, pretty good. Honestly, I would give Kendrick Lamar's performance a good A, to be honest.
Okay, me too. I would give it an A as well. I think my biggest issues wasn't even like Kendrick's fault. It was the audio that I felt like was very off. You could barely hear any cheers, and I heard a lot of people say that like it was the crowd that didn't vibe with it, which I feel like it wasn't the crowd. I think it was the audio team, because when you see like people post videos of the show, there was a lot of people cheering and singing along, calling Drake a pedophile, stuff like that. But I do kind of understand it, because most people that go to the Super Bowl are like old rich white people, and old rich white people aren't necessarily like fans of Kendrick Lamar. So I don't know. I think it was more of an audio thing. And other than that, Kendrick Lamar did make some interesting decisions, not playing any songs from Good Kid, Mad City or To Pimp a Butterfly. He played some deep cuts like Man in the Garden off of GNX, which was interesting as well. Like, as a Kendrick fan, I enjoyed it, but I would understand why like casual listeners wouldn't, because you know, you would rather hear like a King Kunta or All Right or Mad City instead of Man in the Garden or Peekaboo off of his latest album. With all that said, still love it. You know, with all the people coming out of the car at the beginning, that was really funny. The, you know, chemistry with SZA was really cool. The dancers were cool. When Mustard came out during TV Off, when Kendrick Lamar was looking at the camera, straight at the camera while dissing Drake. I thought that was all fun when he performed Not Like Us. So yeah, easy A tier to start things off. Anything you want to say before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, like overall, I agree with you. Definitely easy A. I know that you mentioned like a few of the maybe not necessarily controversies, but like disappointments that some people said about the halftime show. I read one thing. I guess one of the disappointments that some people had was for TV Off, because it's literally like a band, like the background music, but they didn't have an actual band for the halftime. I
Yeah,
saw
okay.
someone say they think that it would have been better if he had like an actual band.
I do
Because
agree.
if I'm not mistaken, I believe that even Usher's show, which we will talk about next, had a band, right? So like if that one had a band, then they could have easily had a band for that. And must remind, if you saw the intro before the game started, they literally had the New Orleans marching band perform like a small piece. They could have just used that band, honestly, if anything. Overall, I thought pretty good, and for sure an easy A, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that statement. I think it would have gone harder if not only you heard the crowd noises, but you also got like live instrumentation. So yeah, that's a fair criticism, I believe. But yeah, let's move on to Usher. Got memed out a lot, got a lot of special guests to appear as well, like her. Usher performed with Alicia Keys, which I think is my favorite part. Either that or when he was roller skating playing, what is it, OMG? He was performing that song with Will I Am. Will I Am was also there. Ludacris was also there. So there was a lot of cool things that happened. The live instrumentation, the screen on the floor. There was a lot going on, but I still don't think this is like one of the best. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't say it was a horrible halftime show, but I thought it was definitely like a little bit lacklusting and for sure underwhelming. Now, obviously, there was like a lot going on that show, and he also had several uniform changes, which I thought was like kind of one of the funny parts. I agree. I do think that Alicia Keys was probably the highlight of the show, and then her was pretty good. Ludacris was alright, I guess. I think he was more like funny than like a standout, if anything, for his role. And then Usher, I guess he did better in some areas and then not as good in other like songs. or outfit changes, you name it. That being said, if I were to give this one a grade, I would probably give it a C, to be honest. In terms of like, it wasn't horrible, but I think they could have done better.
I could see an argument for C. I would give it a B because I feel like it has everything a good halftime show should have. A few good songs, big name performer, a lot of dancers, live instrumentations, cool stage design. It has it all. I just, am not the biggest Usher fan. So it's kind of like a me issue at the end of the day. And I'm not saying Usher is like a bad artist whatsoever. Like, I do like a good amount of his hits. I just don't go after Usher's songs. I'm not ever seeking for it. So like half of the songs he performed, I probably didn't even know, to be honest. And at the end of the day, that's probably what matters the most for me. It's just that, do I enjoy the songs that are being performed? And if I don't even know half of them, which again, it's a me issue at the end of the day, then yeah, that is an issue for me. So I did give it a B because again, felt like it had everything. The surprise cameos from different artists and stuff like that is cool too. I forgot Lil Jon was there as well. Hyped, being carried by the crowd. That was cool. I'll give it a B. You said C. What should we do? Should we... there's no really
I will
middle.
say this. Yeah, there isn't really a true middle there, but I will say this. I was a little bit on the edge of B and C. Ultimately, I pulled it down a notch just because, I guess, slightly balancing out my tier list a little bit. But honestly, since I considered putting it in the B, I guess we can count it as a B for now, at least.
Okay, we could always go back and rearrange if needed, but we'll put this in B. Now let's move on to the next halftime show, which was Rhianna, and this was so sick. I really, really enjoyed this halftime show. When it comes to the stage design, I thought it was super cool how she was floating in the air, and it looked like Super Smash Brothers, like arena or whatever it's called, stage. I forgot how many hits this woman has, and it makes sense. She has a very lengthy career, a long discography of hits after hits after hits, but I forgot like how many hits she has. She played like almost all of the good ones. I think the only one I didn't enjoy was Work. I just don't like that song. But other than that, yeah. I enjoyed the songs she performed. She's an amazing singer. Background dancers were awesome. I like the fits too, with like the white puffers, and she had the red on to stand out from everybody else. And she was doing all this pregnant, which was crazy. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. What about you? Are you as big of a fan as I am?
I will say I absolutely did like this show a lot as well. I'll start off by saying the Super Smash Bros. Stage setup, or whatever you want to call it, was definitely really unique for sure. And I thought that made it interesting for sure. So definitely did like how she was like floating in the sky for sure. That was cool. And another thing is, absolutely agree with you that for the most part, she performed banger of songs. Work, not as much. That one is just a annoying meme song, unfortunately. But aside from that, pretty good. Obviously, there were also a few good songs that she didn't perform. Kind of wish she would have performed. For example, like Disturbia, What's My Name, Only Girl, stuff like that. But overall, though, not really complaining. I thought this was a pretty good halftime show. And honestly, I would put it in the A tier. Now, obviously, so far, I put Kendrick in A and Rihanna in A. But how would I compare these two, both being in the A tier? Maybe I give Kendrick the slight edge, but it's going to be very close, honestly. Like, I think both of them were really good, and so nonetheless, both deserving of A's.
Okay, I honestly would argue S. I think it's better than the Kendrick show. Other than Work, I have no complaints about this performance. It's as perfect as you can get. Yeah, like I could do A. We could save the S tiers for later if you want. You already budged for me, so I could budge for you. I do think this is better than Kendrick's performance, and this is again coming from someone that believes Kendrick is the GOAT. I literally have GNX right here. Just got it this week. I'm a huge fan of Kendrick, but I think Rihanna did have the better performance. I'll go with 8 with this one. We'll see if the next one will be an A, because I think the next one is also a banger. And it's the one where it was like a Dr. Dre headline show, but it includes a medley of other artists like Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, Snoop Dogg, J Blige, And even with that roster already, there was still surprise performances by 50 Cent. Anderson .Paak was there just on drums, but like randomly he was there on drums, smiling the whole time with that like perfect smile of his. This is one of the greatest halftime shows ever. I truly believe that the way that they transitioned from performer to performer was so seamless. Like the music transitioned well, the camera work was great, especially with the Kendrick part. I loved the camera work when Kendrick was there, or when like Snoop Dogg was on stage at the beginning of the show, crip walking on top of the building, the way that Dr. Dre was lifted up with the soundboard, or when he was playing the piano later on. Like there's so much to love. Mary J. Blige had one of the most like chilling performances ever. I had goosebumps rewatching that performance. Eminem was cool too. I wish he played like a better song, but you know, I liked how the stage exploded and all the like crowd came towards him. There was a lot to love off of this performance. What were some of your favorite parts?
Yeah, I will start off by saying I agree with you. I absolutely love this halftime show. Obviously, the cast was phenomenal. All those legends that you mentioned, Dre, Eminem, Kendrick, Snoop, Mary, 50 Cent, Anderson .Paak, you name it. It was so cool. And also, that was the year when the Super Bowl was in LA, so nice West Coast tribute there too as well. And I can honestly agree with you. I definitely did rewatch this one, and pure joy, pure nostalgia, pure enjoyment. Because all of these artists I definitely do like a lot. So then like most of the songs that they performed, I know. And so it was like as they are performing the songs, I sing along to them. And it was fun, honestly. And as you mentioned, the transitions were so smooth, so good. It was just really cool. And the props too that they used was also really good. Obviously, like the cars, the building, Dre playing the piano, 50 Cent going upside down. That was
That was
hilarious.
sick.
Honestly, if we're talking the last 10 Super Bowl performances, I think this is the best one. That being said, me personally, I'm putting this in the S tier. What do you think?
I agree. This is definitely an S tier worthy performance. I mean, with that many legends on one stage, it has to be S, honestly. Like, everything was perfect. As you said, the stage was cool. Fun fact, one of my former students, I work in education, one of my former students, his dad helped build the stage. And he was actually interviewed by the news and talked about building the stage. He was in the news. My student was also on the news, like with his dad at the park during B-roll and stuff like that. So that was kind of a cool little fun fact. Is my student's dad helped build that stage, which was really well done. I love the all white, stage. It had like Tanner's Burgers there and some notable LA, what's the word, like, I don't know, landmarks, I guess. So yeah.
Landmarks, I think, is a good term.
Yeah. So yeah, I 100% agree. This is definitely an S tier performance. The next one is not too shabby as well. It's The Weeknd. This was a really fun performance as well. The Weeknd has such a great catalog of hits that like there was no misses on that front. All the songs he played was fire, and the stage design was very unique. Starting off with that like robot choir and how that choir like split up so that The Weeknd could come through and you could only see like his silhouette with the white lights flashing at you, and then he comes in with his red suit doing that little like Fortnite dance that you could get. And there was a lot of fun moments, like him with the marching band, or not marching band, but like him on the field marching, or him in that, I don't even know where it is, but it's like a room, and all of the other like weekends that popped out of nowhere with the bandages on their faces, and it was like a very memeable moment. I thought this was a great Super Bowl as well. Not many complaints from me. What do you think about this one?
I thought this one was pretty good. I know that a lot of people complain about it, but one thing we gotta keep in mind was that this Super Bowl halftime show happened during a COVID year, and that being in 2021 when there were still some restrictions with like limited capacity, I think still, probably, I assume, still mask mandate in the stadium and so forth. And I do know that one of the things that was a little bit different about this one is that the main stage that Weeknd performed on, I believe, instead of being on the main field, it was more on like the side of the stadium. So that was a little bit interesting to say the least. Nonetheless, I still liked it a lot. And obviously, like the Vegas setup part when he's like running through the lane, if you want to call it, and like all the bright lights. I thought that was honestly pretty cool. That being said, if I were to give it a grade, I would say probably I would give it a B. I thought about putting it higher, but I just feel like because there were some other halftime shows on this list that were so good, it's just like a tiny step down to me, and maybe a little bit having to do with like, I guess because granted he had some restrictions due to still being during COVID. It's not even his fault. Like it's just out of his control. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying like certain factors made it I guess not quite, like it could have been even better potentially is what I mean to say. That being said, I would give it a B, honestly, which I think is still a pretty good grade. But what would you say about the Weeknd, or a grade you would give it?
I would have argued an S. That's how much I enjoyed it, and maybe that's because I'm like a big Weeknd fan, and this era of the Weeknd is like really
I
good
am a
in
big
my.
Weeknd fan too, I will say.
I do really enjoy this era of the Weeknd with the red suit and stuff, and with the weird state the Earth was in at the time. I thought he did pretty well given the circumstances. Having to make a halftime show, but not in like the most traditional way. I thought he did a good job with the creative liberties that he was able to have, not having a stage in the middle of the field, but using like kind of like the entire arena in a way to perform his songs. I just really enjoyed the performances. I think the live instrumentation helped a lot, helped elevate the songs that he performed. I would argue S, you would argue B. Should we go in the middle with A?
Yeah, I'm down for that, honestly.
Alright, we'll put it in the A. Next, we've got Shakira and J-Lo. Kind of a random halftime show. It's not every day we get two Latin female performers playing in the Super Bowl, but this was at Miami, so it does kind of make sense on that front. I enjoyed this one as well. I will say, I think Shakira kind of carried. I think she was the one that had the better performance between the two. Maybe because I'm just more of a fan of Shakira than J-Lo. I grew up listening to Shakira more than J-Lo, but I think Shakira's just a better singer, better performer, better dancer. The way that she was shredding the electric guitar was random as hell, but it was really cool. But still, they're both great, very sensual. If this isn't the best halftime show, this is probably the sexiest halftime show, I would say. Like, this was very hot, but I do think Shakira carried. J-Lo was fine, but when they were together, they were great. They were phenomenal together. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, to start off, I will say, as you mentioned, a very unique choice of artists. Obviously, two female artists, two Latina artists. And honestly, though it was like unexpected in a way, it turned out to be pretty good. I mean, like, I thought that the aesthetics were good, the performance was good. Now, I do agree with you. I do think that Shakira clearly had the upper edge. Nonetheless, I did like it a lot. Now, granted, this was like right before the world went lockdown 2 months later. Or not even 2 months, more like slightly over 1 month, because like February and then lockdown was in March. That was a little bit of fortunate timing there that we were able to get like one more significant event before the world went down for the worse that year. And honestly, a good job. So if I were to give a grade for this one, I would say solid A.
I agree. I gave it an A. Again, J-Lo kind of brought it down a little bit, but still, they both were great. The special guests were cool too, having Bad Bunny, J Balvin, and more coming through to perform a little bit was cool to see as well. Having the kids towards the end come in and perform was a cute moment. So I agree. I think this is an A tier. I don't think the next one's gonna be an A tier. We've been very nice. We've been very chill about these ratings. This next one though, I don't know. We've got Adam Levine. We got Maroon 5 performing the Super Bowl, which was held in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, Atlanta.
Yeah, probably should have been at Vegas with all the stripping going on by Adam Levine. What was going on?
I was gonna say, like, they could have picked someone maybe like Atlanta based. I mean, granted, I know that they don't really seem to do that all the time, like picking artists from that specific city, but like it would have been a cool gesture. Which I know that a lot of people said that this year, like it should have been Lil Wayne because New Orleans, but it is what it is. Yeah, I definitely do agree with you that probably would have made more sense in Vegas. My bad. Let me let you continue your thoughts before I say my full thoughts.
Well, to be honest, I don't have much thoughts because, like, I thought this was okay. I don't think it was anything special, to be honest. Like, I did forget about, like, the classic Maroon 5 tracks that they have in their catalog, and they performed a few of those. But they also have some duds in their catalog, and they performed those, like Sugar, I believe is what it's called. Not a fan of that one. And yeah, I think the way they incorporated Atlanta artists was very tacked on. I felt like it was kind of forced. Like the way that they brought in Travis Scott was having SpongeBob and like Squidward coming through. You know, that one SpongeBob episode where they performed
Sweet Victory.
Yeah, Sweet Victory. There we go. They had that at the time because that was a big meme at the time. It dated horribly, honestly. Like, looking back at it, I was like, oh, I forgot this used to be funny. So, yeah, the Sweet Victory thing, they had that transition into Travis Scott, which was random as hell. Was the correlation there? I don't know. Like, there really isn't. They just found some random way to throw in Travis Scott, who barely performed half of Sicko Mode. You know, that song is so long, so it makes sense. Like, only half of Sicko Mode was played, but that's basically it for him. And then Adam Levine went back to his thing. Later on in the show, they kind of just threw in Big Boy in there, had him perform a song or two. Would have been really cool to see Outkast, but we all know Andre 3000 is like very mysterious and weird. Not weird, but like kind of weird. But it would have been cool to see Outkast perform together. That would have been a huge moment. But, you know, Big Boy did his thing. Adam Levine joined in. I think the best part visually was with the lanterns in the sky. I thought that was pretty. But other than that, not really a fan. My score for this, I thought it was kind of generous because at the end of the day, I don't think it was like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Still not the best. I was nice and gave it a C. I know you wanted to give some other performance a C earlier, so I'm guessing you have a lower score than I do.
And you are correct. All right, let me give my thoughts now. First off, I'm going to start by saying, as far as Maroon 5 goes in themselves, back in the day, I actually did like a good amount of their music, to be honest. Like, they had some good bangers. That being said, I did not like this halftime show, unfortunately. To start, this was a trash Super Bowl to begin with. It was the Patriots and Rams Super Bowl with like no offense at all. It wasn't even good defense. It was just bad offense. Final score was Patriots winning 13-3. So that says something, first off. And then the second thing, as far as the halftime show goes, yeah, I thought that it was boring, honestly. Like, I just feel like this was just a total flop Super Bowl Sunday as a whole. From what I recall, the game was bad, the halftime show was bad, the commercials were not good either. I thought that Travis Scott was honestly the highlight of the halftime show, and he hardly even appeared. I mean, I wish that he was the main cast. That would have been cool, which I am. I do happen to be a Travis Scott fan, so maybe a little bit biased there, but I think that he would have done better for sure. Yeah, honestly, I was not a fan of this one. And if I were to give it a grade, I honestly have to give it an F, honestly. I just did not like it whatsoever. Maybe a little bit harsh, but I know there are plenty of people that might agree with me, honestly.
Well, with the context you gave, I think your argument makes a lot of sense. This is why I have you here, because I have no idea what happened that Super Bowl. I barely remember what happened last week during the last Super Bowl. Like, I could care less, to be honest. Football's cool, I guess. I'm willing to watch a game a year, but you know, it's not my thing. So having you come here with the football knowledge is good, because I forgot it was a boring game. I forgot the commercials were bad. So adding this to all of that, I understand why you'd give it an F. With that said, I did give it a C. You gave it F. I think it'd be fair if we gave Maroon 5 the D. Hey, yo.
Okay, yeah, I'm down for that.
Okay, we'll do that. And I will say, I think the next one that we're going to talk about isn't that good either. And that was Justin Timberlake. I thought this was just a standard Super Bowl halftime show. You know, nothing crazy. Just Justin playing some of his hits. I think the most notable things that happened was when he was with the crowd, took a selfie with a kid towards the end of the show. I guess that was sweet. There was also the Prince tribute. That was cool. Prince, notable halftime show performer, probably the greatest performance in halftime show history was from him. So tribute's cool. I like a few of his songs, but just not the biggest Justin Timberlake fan in the world. Are you a bigger fan of Justin Timberlake than me? Did you enjoy it at all?
I will say back in the day, like 2000s, Justin Timberlake did have some bangers. But that being said, like I wouldn't say I'm a crazy Justin Timberlake fan by any means. Because I feel like after that, like his 2000s hits weren't really that good to me, honestly. Like Mirrors, Suit and Tie, those were way overplayed in my opinion. I wouldn't say they're horrible songs, but they weren't really my favorite songs.
Those were
So it got annoying to me.
probably the few songs I did like, honestly. So we got
Oh.
like opposite opinions here.
Yeah, I will say Suit and Tie, I really found it annoying back in like 2013 when it was like big, but now I can appreciate it a little bit more. Mirrors is so. The main thing I do remember from the show was during Mirrors when they actually had like the band or like dancers bring like the actual mirrors flashing under the lights. And then of course taking the selfie with that kid. That was also the funny part. The kid was just like looking on his phone the entire time when they were showing him his like moments of fame, so that was funny. And then it's almost like that kid became a celebrity after that because he was going on like Good Morning America and all this stuff getting interviewed.
I forgot
I
about that.
remember. Too bad for him. He was a Patriots fan and they lost that game. But yeah, cool moment for him. This song was like okay in my opinion, but definitely not great. I would say probably I give it like a C. And that being said, obviously earlier I put Usher in the C tier also. I think this is below Usher, without a doubt. Yeah, I'd say probably C tier. Like, not horrible, but definitely not that great either.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is definitely worse than the Usher, and I would have given this a C as well. So we agree there. Justin Timberlake gets C. Next is Lady Gaga. This was probably one of the more entertaining halftime shows because there was a lot of funny moments. It started off all patriotic with her singing, I forgot what it was called. I got it right here. God Bless America. This land is your land. To start things off, very patriotic. And out of nowhere, boom, flies off the building. She has those, what are they called? The ropes, I guess.
Like a jetpack?
Not
Or
a
not
jetpack.
jetpack.
Not a jetpack. But she had like ropes holding her and like taking her down. She was looking like SpongeBob during the SpongeBob movie at the end. I remember that being a big meme, and she was like slowly going down. Yeah, her performance was so good. Like, she's a great performer. She like exaggerates everything, which is what I really enjoy from her. The way that she played I don't know what's called. It's like a guitar, but it's with keys. I think it's called a keytar, actually. But the way that she was like stomping and playing at the same time, or when she had the futuristic looking phone making a call, and then she was like singing and being carried away by like a bouncer. There was a lot of fun moments from Lady Gaga, and not gonna lie, I'm kind of a low-key Lady Gaga fan. I've been like bumping her since like middle school for some reason. Like, she was like one of the first artists I've ever discovered, and I just love her songs. The songs that she performed were hits back then, and I went back to watch this, and it still bangs. It still bangs. Like Bad Romance, Poker Face, Born This Way. They're all great songs in my opinion. I think when I was ranking this, I kind of overrated it myself. I think I gave it S tier. Maybe I could argue S tier, but like S or A is like where I'm thinking. What about you?
I will start by saying I agree. I thought this was a pretty good halftime show. And I think that it was really cool, the delivery. Obviously, starting off on the roof, singing the song, what was it, like Sweet America or something like that?
I believe it was called God Bless America and This Land Is Your Land.
Oh, God Bless America. That's what it was. Yeah, so that was cool little tribute. And then Jumps Down the Sky. That was cool too. I definitely did like how she wore the shiny silver outfit. That was cool. And wasn't it like a metal material or something like that?
Yeah.
Almost looking like little...
I think that's how she
armor-ish
started the
almost.
show, and then later on she did a quick change into the like short football uniform, or more like pads actually. I think they were just pads, white pads.
Like pads, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Yeah, honestly, I thought it was pretty good. I will say, growing up when I was younger, I wasn't necessarily a huge Lady Gaga fan back then. But throughout the years, I started to appreciate more like her older songs, honestly, like Poker Face, Bad Romance, you name it. And so for the most part, honestly, I like this show. I think it was pretty good. That being said, if I were to give it a grade, I would say I would give it an A, to be honest.
All right, we could stick with A. We could put Lady Gaga at A. And then the last one, we got one more performance to talk about, and this is Coldplay. This was for the 50th Super Bowl, right? 50th Super Bowl or 50th halftime show?
Yeah, Super Bowl 50.
Okay.
So that was a cool milestone there.
This was essentially like kind of a tribute to not only the Super Bowl, but like the past performances as well, especially towards the end. At the beginning, it started off with Coldplay singing their classic songs like Viva La Vida, Paradise, stuff like that I actually really enjoyed growing up. I kind of grew up listening to some Coldplay, at least their hits. I do enjoy their hits, so I don't mind Coldplay whatsoever. When it comes to their hits, I do enjoy them. But the contrast between Coldplay and Bruno Mars and Beyonce, who were surprise guests, former halftime show performers, they both came through with so much swagger. Like, it's a night and day difference between Coldplay and Bruno Mars and Beyonce. Like, it is drastically different. It's so much more fun watching Bruno Mars perform and then Beyonce perform and them going at it towards each other. They had so much great chemistry, so much charisma. They played great songs, and then we had Coldplay just like kind of joining in, looking like that one shy friend. Yeah, it was a weird combination of artists, but you know, the Beyonce and Bruno Mars performances were great. I think they worked well together, and I wish they were the only ones performing now when you compare it to Coldplay, because Coldplay was good. You know, there was cute moments, but that's it. Like, it was cute, like, towards the end when they did the little slideshow of, like, past performers, like Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney, stuff like that. They performed a cute little tribute, but they were definitely the weak link out of the three. Beyonce and Bruno Mars killed it. If Coldplay wasn't there, this would have been S tier, but now I don't think so. What do you think? Do you think Coldplay was the weakest link?
Oh, without a doubt, honestly. I feel like a lot of the things that you said was like 1000% accurate. The fact that like Coldplay to Beyonce and Bruno Mars is such a drastic difference and a different energy level. And that being said, like in the beginning, I was like having trouble like judging whether I like this halftime show or I don't like this halftime show. In the beginning, I'm thinking like, was this good or was it not good? Overall, I thought that it was not bad. I definitely do agree with you. Like, it did seem to be like all over the place simply due to how different Coldplay is from Beyonce and Bruno Mars. And I will say I agree with you. I definitely like those two artists a lot better than Coldplay. Like, Coldplay has some good classic hits that I think are like not bad, but like, yeah, I definitely do think it would have been better if it was just those two without him. And that's honestly sad because he was the main headliner and he got the spotlight taken away from him. And he was kind of the reason why it wasn't as good as like how it could have been. That being said, I feel like the grade I would have given this could have been higher if it wasn't for his part. But I feel like low-key the Coldplay part kind of gave it a little bit of a lower grade than they could have got, in my opinion. Which I believe you said something similar, so very relatable. I mean, said, overall, I would say not a bad halftime show by any means. Clearly not as good as some of those other ones that we listed already. That being said, I would put this in the B tier.
Okay, I was thinking A because of how great Beyonce and Bruno Mars were, but we could put it in B for Beyonce, for Bruno Mars. We could do that.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so that is all 10 performances we are talking about for today. If you like this video, like it so we could hopefully do a sequel to this next year. But yeah, let's do a quick little recap of our tier list. At D tier, we have Maroon 5. C tier, Justin Timberlake. B tier, Usher and Coldplay and Bruno Mars and Beyonce. A tier, we got Kendrick Lamar, Rihanna, The Weeknd, Shakira and J-Lo, and Lady Gaga. And by themselves at S tier, we got Dr. Dre and The Gang. Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, J Blige, Eminem, 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg, Innocent Pack 2, why not? So that is our tier list. Now we'll quickly go over the tier list we made separately before we started recording. Hoops, would you like to go over your tier list?
Yes, sir. So for my personal self-made tier list, I would rank the last 10 halftime performances in the following sequence. I guess I'll start from worst to best because that's how we did it for our common one just now. So at F tier, I got Maroon 5. At C tier, I got Usher and Justin Timberlake. At B tier, I got Coldplay and The Weeknd. At A tier, I got Kendrick Lamar, Rhianna, Lady Gaga, Shakira, and J-Lo. And at S tier, I got The Gang from the West Coast, and obviously some not from the West Coast. Obviously, primarily focused on the West Coast. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, J Blige, 50 Cent, Eminem, Anderson .Paak, you name it. That would be my rankings of last 10 Super Bowl halftime shows.
All right, and for me, I've got in C tier, Maroon 5 and Justin Timberlake. B tier by themselves, Usher. A tier, I got Kendrick Lamar, Shakira, and J-Lo, and Coldplay with Beyonce and Bruno Mars. S tier, I got Rihanna, Dr. Dre and The Gang, The Weeknd, and Lady Gaga. I was probably nicer than you were, but I felt like we did a good job combining forces and making our own tier list. Let us know your thoughts on our tier list. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Let us know. And Hoops, would you like to say anything before we head out?
Yeah, I just want to say, I guess first off, I guess in terms of like our grading skill differences on our self-made, a small little comment. I guess in a way, the way I put it was I just put the one I like best on S, and then the other ones that I thought were really good, I just put it like a notch down, and so then I put them mostly A's. But honestly, like, if you really liked a lot of them, I wouldn't fault you for putting them on S tier. That's just a small note I wanted to say on how I graded my personal tier list. But before we head out, just want to say it was a pleasure coming back on this channel for another music related episode. As Memo mentioned, we are both pretty good music fans. Me personally, the biggest on the hip hop and rap genres. Also like a little bit of pop. Jazz music is cool too, and rock music is cool too. I don't really go out of the norm to listen to those as much, but I do appreciate them. But definitely nonetheless, biggest fans of hip hop and rap. Yeah, it's been a pleasure coming back on this channel for another fun episode. Hopefully many more to come soon. And yeah, we may just very well have to do a part 2 sequel next year after the halftime show goes on next year, and then we would add in that artist and see if our perspective at all changes for the other performances after another glance at the halftime overviews, shall we say. Thanks again for having me on. It was fun, and definitely look forward to more to come.
Of course, I always love having you on the channel. I love talking to you. You are my best friend after all. So I had a good time talking music with you. Yeah, if you liked this and you want similar content like this and you're a big fan of NBA basketball, we do have a basketball podcast together. Once again, it is called Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. Check it out. We did a rundown on all the trades from this past trade deadline last week. I am planning on recording tomorrow my all-star rundown that I'm gonna do. It's my first solo podcast in a while, so bear with me for that one, but that should be coming out real soon. But yeah, love talking basketball with you, love talking music with you, just love your presence in general. So thank you for joining me on my channel. If you like the video, that makes sense, right? Comment down below, what is the greatest halftime show from the last 10 years? I guess we both would agree that it's probably the Dr. Dre one, but you guys let us know what you think down below. If you like music related content like this, please subscribe, since that's what I do here. And if you're already subscribed and you want more of this for some reason, check out my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We have our podcast together. Go check it out. Everything's linked down below. But yeah, I'm done here. So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Goodbye. Toodles.